Most students think their resume is good enough until it hits a recruiter's desk and gets tossed in just seconds. Today, I'm breaking down a real student resume to show you exactly what works, what doesn't, and how to fix it so you can actually stand out. If you want your resume reviewed for free on this channel, check out the first link in the description below. It's the fastest way to get personalized feedback and avoid the mistakes that are keeping you out of the game. All right, let's just get right into it. Today, I'm reviewing my friend Gabe here, and so we will be taking a look at his resume. The first thing I notice is that it is more than one page, and this might just be when I imported it over to Google Docs from Word, but this is still a good opportunity to remind you that if you're in college, your resume does not need to be longer than one page. Even if you have all of these great experiences, like Gabe obviously does, it doesn't make sense to have more than one page, especially if it just slightly spills onto a second page. But again, I'm assuming that this actually should be on one page. The formatting looks pretty good. The only thing that I'd say is that the words look a little small, and clicking on here, they're 8-point font. So I imagine if you print this out and it's on an actual piece of paper and a recruiter's trying to read this, they'll probably need a magnifying glass. So the first thing that I do anytime that I really receive anyone's resume that I'm going to review is scrap all the formatting and still remake it in a similar way, basically like this, but make it a little bit more uniform. So one thing that I'll definitely do is change the margins here. And okay, it looks like they're at 0.5 at top and bottom, but I'll make it 0.5 all the way around. All right, and then from here, I'll just go through and format everything appropriately. So I reformatted up here so it looks more consistent rather it kind of being all in one line like before. Here, I haven't even looked at the bullet points, but the formatting looks a lot cleaner now. Everything's a little bit more consistent. Let's start with the easy stuff. I like having everything to be the same exact size font except for your name. Like your name is the only thing that should be a little bit larger, and I like to have that at 16 points versus everything else at 11. I think I even use 12-point font in my personal resume because I just like it to be a little bit more legible rather than trying to cram all this information in, but 11's fine. Definitely nothing lower than 11. If you're using 8-point font, recruiters are gonna have a hard time reading what you have unless they zoom in all the way like this, and you know, at that point, you're already asking them to do too much. So let's go down to the next easiest part, which is going to be the skills. Languages are great to have. I would definitely keep those. You don't really need a period there. And honestly, you could just say this for your languages. That definitely helps, being multilingual. Certificates and awards. So these things by Forge, Google Ads, Bloomberg Markets, these are just some extracurriculars. So look how many lines this takes up. Certificates and awards taking up 4 lines on your resume should not be the case, especially when you have all these great experiences up here, running your own businesses and interning places. So first and foremost, your skills should not be this long. Unless you're kind of putting them up here as like an experience, I wouldn't bother really having them in this certificates and awards section. So if anything, let's just make it so Bloomberg Market Concepts, I believe is what it's called. Pitt Business Sales Academy doesn't really matter. FinTech Labs Startup doesn't matter. Case competition doesn't matter as an award or a certificate. The mentorship program, future of work, that's not really a certification. Google Ads is a certification. Bloomberg Market Concepts is a certification. And these are like things that you can actually like speak to. It's not even that you're going to talk about being Bloomberg Markets Concepts certified in an interview at all. It's just having like that Bloomberg name show up on any screening for keywords and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure what this award, Gold President's Volunteer Service Award, but if it's awarded by the US government, maybe it's good on there, I don't know. Skills, HTML, CSS, Microsoft in itself is not a skill. So let's take that out. Excel, PowerPoint, sales strategy. So, I don't really like, this is a very arbitrary, it's kind of arbitrary. It's not something that it's a tangible skill. So same thing with market analysis, digital marketing, supply chain management. Yeah, I'd axe all that. So these 4 lines should be really 3, if not 2. I'd consider taking this out depending on when you receive this award, or, you know, maybe taking some of this out because it's not really, I mean, Excel and PowerPoint's good to have on the resume just so you don't get filtered out for keyword searches, but this is probably how I would leave this section. And if you look, we still have like 9, 10, 11 lines that we need to remove to even have this skills section be like close to up here. Let's work on that. One piece of feedback I would definitely provide here is that you just have way too many experiences, and they're not even categorized in a way that is supposed to tell a story. So yes, you have super great experiences, especially, you know, with entrepreneurship and running your own businesses, some private equity stuff, an internship, analyst and consulting stuff, and then more analyst experiences. But this is where I'd really work with a student to figure out, hey, what type of roles are you applying to? What are your goals? What job do you actually want to get, or what internship are you seeking? Then we'd start to figure out which of their experiences lines up most closely with the job description of what they're seeking. Let's assume that this student, Gabe, is interested in consulting, just because there's some consulting gigs here and he mentioned Deloitte a couple times in these awards. So we'll keep these up here, this work experience of founder and CEO, but what is most relevant to a consulting role, right? If you're applying for tech consulting or management consulting at a MBB firm or a Big Four, it's going to be that you actually worked on real engagements with real clients. Fortunately, he does have some experience of that here. And so a header that I love to use is relevant experience. I'll add the horizontal line here. So we'll pick this up out of the wall of text and experiences, and we'll drop it down here because it is the most relevant thing. So when a recruiter reads the resume, they want to see the most relevant experiences that you have first. So that's why right at the very top here, even though it's technically not the most recent thing, right? This would be the most recent in reverse chronological order, but we're able to pick this up out of the timeline and put it up top because it is the most relevant and it is also the most recent. And so from here, if we have any other, you know, engagement type experiences, we can kind of put them up top there. Let's see. Okay, this experience as a private equity intern, it does have that aspect of conducting market research and putting together a proposal and working with clients. It has that essence. So I'm gonna take this and also pick it up into this relevant experience section, because recruiters will want to know, if you're applying to a consulting role, what skills, opportunities, experiences have you had that will make you a good fit for what they do every day, which is working with clients and then working with their internal team to solve those problems. This kind of plays into that here, right? This one for sure, he's literally talking about an engagement that he had. And then up here, this is also more of that technical analyst side that is needed in entry-level consulting roles and internships. These are 2 good experiences to have up top. And then the rest, what else do they want to know? They probably want to know that you're able to work long hours and you're going to be a go-getter and really take initiative in that role. And so I think, you know, these founder and CEO positions are great to have there. So let's keep maybe 1 or 2. So here's probably going to be a controversial take, especially for this student, Gabe, because he's probably really proud of owning and running both of these businesses, which he should be. The only thing is, from my lens, when you're trying to create a resume for a corporate role, for any type of job really, you don't want to be repeating yourself. No matter how great all of your experiences are, if they're all saying the same thing, you're not telling them anything new with each and every experience, right? So yes, it's great that you are founder and CEO of multiple companies, but I think it would serve you better to really just take one of these and the one that you are most proud about and see yourself being able to talk to the most in an interview and have it be more relevant. So this experience seems to be a little bit more online digital marketing, SMMA type business model, whereas this one is more of a, you know, supply chain, e-commerce e-commerce type business. That's even another thing to think about, is the type of business that you're running, not just having multiple different founder experiences on your resume. If you're applying to, say, a supply chain consulting role, you'll probably want to keep this one in, and this one is a little bit less relevant. The same thing goes the other way. If you're applying to like a marketing consulting role, then you probably want to keep this one and then exclude this. But since we're talking about like Big Four or strategy consulting, I think we're going to take this one out. Even though it does have some of the buzzword and the flashiness of having AI, you don't really mention it too much, and that's not the main focus, it seems, of this experience that you're mentioning. And another thing, like just another tip, if you do end up using this experience for other versions of your resume, when you're saying things like used AI software, list the software that you're using. Be very specific, because for one, that could help you in terms of keyword searches, especially if it lines up with any software that you might be using in the real role and that they're searching for. If you're talking about the actual AI models that you're using, you look much more informed even from somebody just reading the resume. So for this purpose, we're going to take out this. It'll give us some space back, which we desperately need to get back to one page. Let's see, we're probably gonna have to take one of these smaller ones out too, either this one or this one. If you only have 2 bullets for an experience, it's probably not worth leaving in just to have it build up upon the stack of experiences that you have on your resume. So honestly, I think I'm gonna take out both. I don't even know what, I didn't even read into the bullets, but translated English to Spanish and Portuguese, conducted Spanish and Portuguese lessons. See, like this is good, but it doesn't really show much impact, especially compared to some of these where you're using numbers, actual call outs of models and client names. So this one's gone for sure. And you already mentioned that you speak all of these languages. So this is kind of just repeating it. Look at that. We only need 3 more lines to get back to one page. So which one did I say? This one here? Yeah. CETA marketplace, operations, financial models. Okay, 12% increase in efficiency. And look, see, this is a perfect example of why you don't need to put every single experience that you have on your resume, just the ones that you need in order to build your story. Perform market research to identify trends, risks, and opportunities. If we go up here, look, conducting due diligence, including market research, financial analysis, competitive landscape, that's like basically the same exact thing. And so this is just repeating what you did up here. So we're gonna delete that and look at that. Now we're back to one page. Yes, it looks like less, right? And that's because there is less. Just objectively, I removed like 3 of your experiences. But one, it's much more legible because the font is 3 points bigger. The recruiter doesn't need to get their reading glasses out to be able to actually figure out what's on the page. For 2, it's much more focused. You don't have the same things repeating themselves over and over again. And even if somebody did get down to like this section of your resume, like the bottom third or the bottom quarter of your resume, which again, recruiters probably don't even make it that far anyways, but if they did, they're just gonna be reading the same exact thing that you said further up top. So that's why I like excluding certain roles. Now we have an extra line here because we have one extra line to work with in case we wanted to maybe add a bullet point or, have one of these bullet points go onto a second line. But yeah, from here, I think having 5 experiences is plenty. And the next part of this is you want each of these experiences to be saying a different thing that adds into building your story. So if this one is going to say, hey, I had consulting experience, focus on that. This next one, you're going to, maybe it's going to be more of, hey, I'm an analytical thinker. I have an experience doing industry research and competitive landscape analysis, all of these different things, and financial modeling experience. That could be a good space for this. This next experience, maybe you want it to say, hey, I'm a go-getter. I'm somebody who's going to get things done. This one, it's kind of saying the same thing again. And this one is maybe a little bit more of the research. So let's wrap this up by giving a suggestion for a bullet point. Analyze data to enhance employee experience and operational efficiency for goodwill. This is just not a great bullet, especially for the very first thing. Again, also I moved this up in the order of operations for the resume, but this being a first bullet point is not acceptable. You need to have something that has a strong action verb, which it does. Analyze is a good one, but has to have impact. Enhance employee experience and operational efficiency is not impact. You did it in another bullet point earlier. I think it was from an experience that I deleted, but you mentioned like even a 12% increase in efficiency. Put a number here and how did you enhance the employee experience? Like, what is the proof that the employee experience was enhanced? Is there a satisfaction metric that people were recording, or is this really just writing what the job description was? Your job was to kind of enhance the experience. If there's real proof, add some figures, facts and figures about how the employees have a better experience, and also the operational efficiency. Maybe I'll just write comments and then I'll send it back. Enhance employee experience. Develop and implement e-commerce solutions. What are these solutions? E-commerce solutions, what does that even mean? Like that's what a recruiter is going to think. Like implement e-commerce solutions. What solutions? Did you allow them to pay by credit card? Did you redesign the checkout page or something like that? Like simplifying workflows, boosting efficiency, increasing sales. Like, you need numbers here if you're going to claim these things. Align company goals with modern mission statement, promoting inclusivity and growth. That's another one. It's kind of just like you're saying something, but not much at the same time. And so what are the company goals? Does that mean like increasing revenue, increasing profit? Like, what does that mean, company goals? And then what is the modern mission statement? Maybe like even just if you called out what the statement is, what's the new statement? Like, that could be a way to be more specific. And then, promoting inclusivity and growth, like that's just, you're basically just saying what the ideal of these things are supposed to achieve. It's not specific to anything that you did. And if it is, then you should point out the data behind it of how you promoted inclusivity and growth. All of these different things, like when people read this, and especially recruiters, they're just gonna look at this thing and they're gonna say, this is very broad. What did you actually do, right? Like, what was your impact on this? Anybody could copy and paste this exact bullet point, put it on their own resume. Nobody would even know the better, right? Because it's not specific to you. And that's really how you should be evaluating your bullet points is, can somebody else copy this, paste it on their own resume? And if the answer is yes, then your bullet point isn't good enough. You need to be more specific, because if you have facts, figures, numbers, or the modern mission statement that you found and aligned with the company goals, nobody else can say that unless they did that exact same thing, which is unlikely to be the case if you are the ones doing these things. And maybe I'll take a look into something else here. Okay. Well, just a general piece of advice. A lot of this would have the same advice as what I set up here. It's really just, this is super broad. You're just listing out the job description, basically. Researching AI, biotech, blockchain to develop innovative solutions. Like, what are the solutions? What are the innovative solutions for the companies, and what companies, right? Like, those are ways to help yourself build a better bullet point, is just read it or have somebody else read it. And if they have more questions, then you need to be more specific. Analyzed quantum computing for strategic technology roadmaps. Yes, this is the action, but there's no result for strategic technology roadmaps. Like, doing what with the roadmaps? Developing a 12-month timeline for rollout of X project, like that's something that is more specific and that you need to include in these bullet points to make it unique to you. Pitched ideas, potential investors. See, like this one's like a little bit better. You have including IKEA North America and hackathon. Pitched ideas. What ideas, right? Like, what projects? Projects on what? On these technologies, quantum computing, AI, right? Like, and if it is on those topics, what specifically about those topics? What softwares or what were you reading into? Here's another one, right? To gain valuable insights. This is not a good result. Again, anybody can copy and paste this one, work directly with, this is not a good bullet point either. So maybe I shouldn't have deleted a lot of those experiences, because maybe there were some better bullet points in some of the other experiences that you had listed here. But a lot of these, your one for your businesses seem pretty good. And maybe I'll spend some time here to give some advice and feedback, because these bullet points seem to be where you spend a lot of the time. And it makes sense, because at the start, this experience and the other CEO experience, founder experience was at the top. And I guess you understand that recruiters will only be reading from the top. And so you want those to be the best. So let's take a look at these. Oversee US and Brazil distribution operations, driving 100% year-over-year growth. Look at that, from 500K to over, so maybe you could just shorten this a little bit. Maybe you can even, these are great figures to call out, of course. You should be proud of those numbers, but maybe you could shorten it, 2 years, and it doubles twice. That is pretty self-explanatory. And we could even get this to 1 line. Look at this, you ready? This is probably the perfect bullet point. If you could replicate this for all of your experiences, obviously it's hard to do that with having all of these numbers and stuff, but like this is the exact framework. Oversee, sure, that's an okay action verb, but this is the action. You're overseeing these distribution operations, and you drove 100% year-over-year growth from 500K in 2022 to 2 million in 2024. And it fills out basically the entire line, which is what you want, right? Like if you have a couple extra words down here and then there's all this white space, it doesn't look that great. But if you fill the line, like if you had every single bullet point look like this and you had maybe 3 or 4 per experience, right? It would look so clean because there's still the balance of the white space in this area here and the white spacing from the gaps up here. Even though there will be a little bit of like a block of text for your bullet points, it will still look really good because of the built-in white space that we have with all of this formatting. And then also another point just to mention is that if you are able to cleanly place these on like pretty much 1 line, or maybe have a couple that break the pattern, you'll get, look, now we have 2 extra lines. And I'm sure if we dug deeper into this, right, like this one could probably be cut down to 1 line, this one 2 even, or maybe this is good to have 2 lines. Like we could get enough space for a whole nother one of these experiences probably in here. And especially if we cut this down to this just being 3 lines, there's just so much potential for being able to craft your story in the way that you want and still having it deliver strong impact to recruiters when they read it. And always think about these resumes in the lens of a recruiter, right? Like, yes, it's great that you have all these founder experiences and that, again, you should be super proud of that. But what do recruiters care about? I mean, if a recruiter is going to be hiring a founder, a CEO type person, you know, is that someone who's going to be sticking around for a long time? Maybe not. Do they care about that? Maybe, maybe not. But they are going to hire an employee, not hiring a CEO at an entry-level consulting role or an entry-level finance role. So also keep that in mind and kind of take a balance there between the entrepreneurial go-getter archetype, but also being okay being an entry-level employee, because that's kind of just what we have to do to get into corporate these days. So I like to keep that in mind. You know, if you talk to somebody else, maybe they'll tell you differently, and you should be your authentic self and play the founder role wherever you go. But, you know, I think there's something to be said about thinking about it not from our own selfish perspective of how proud we are of our experiences and how that we have so many in all these different industries and all of the great things that have come from it. And I'm not downplaying that at all. I am just saying a recruiter probably doesn't care about that as much as they care about finding the right person for the job. And that person is going to be somebody who has experiences that are aligned with the job description. So that is the high-level rundown of this resume review. At the end of the day, I guess I just chopped a bunch of your experiences and also changed your formatting, but hopefully I gave some good feedback in terms of rewriting these bullet points and what to think about. Gave you some examples of how to put numbers to these things. Maybe there was an inclusivity survey and that's how you measured that inclusivity went up, or operational efficiency. Maybe something took, 20 minutes before and now the process makes it take 5 minutes. So look at that increase in efficiency and then you can make that into a percentage. So Gabe, well done. You're on the right track. Keep it up. And if you implement some of these changes and start thinking about your bullet points a little bit more intentionally, ordering your experiences in a way that builds your story based on the role that you're applying for and what they're seeking from applicants, I think you'll do just fine. Your resume is the front door to every opportunity in finance. If it's weak, nothing else matters. If you want more help, I've linked a free resume template in the description below. It follows the exact framework that I use with my students. Let's cook. I'll see you over there.